important that we unite our struggle against war with a struggle for community cohesion and justice. Our next speaker, please give a warm welcome to Sabby Dhalu from Stand Up Against Racism.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you very much for inviting me to speak today. I'm here today because the last 14 years since the start of the war in Afghanistan, accompanying these different wars, Afghanistan, Iraq, and all the wars since then, and now with Syria, we have seen an unprecedented rise in Islamophobia and racism, depicting Muslims as the enemy within. Well, I say it's Islamophobia and racism that's the enemy, not Muslims. One of the reasons why Islamophobia and racism is whipped up accompanying war is because some of these wars have been so dreadfully unpopular, and at the moment this particular war drive is also unpopular, so Islamophobia and the demonisation of Muslims is whipped up in order to try and justify this war drive. So please join us in standing up to racism. But also we've seen very recently, after the horrific attacks in Paris, a despicable rise in Islamophobia. We've seen dreadful headlines by The Sun, misleading racist headlines saying 1 in 5 Muslims are jihadi terrorists or sympathise with jihadi terrorists. This is false, misleading, it's racist and it's Islamophobic and it must be opposed. We've also seen racist, Islamophobic headlines in the Daily Mail, cartoons in the Daily Mail, very similar to anti-Semitic Nazi propaganda used today against Muslims, comparing Muslims to rats. We must stand up to this scourge of racism and Islamophobia, and I ask you to join us in standing up to this. We've also seen violent attacks against Muslims on the ground. We've seen Muslim women wearing the hijab attacks, who are the majority of victims against Islamophobic violent crimes on the ground. This is why I ask you to stand up and join us in opposing racism and Islamophobia. We're also seeing a very disgusting attempt by the state to depict Muslims as the enemy with the Prevent strategy and the recent Counter-Terrorism and Security Act, and this is set to worsen. The extremism bill that's being proposed by the government is a big attack on civil liberties, it's an attack on freedom of speech, and it's an attack to all of us here today, because if you oppose government foreign policy, you could be targeted under this new extremism bill that is being proposed by the government. So we must stand up to racism and Islamophobia in all its forms, whether it's the media, whether it's attacks on the ground, and whether it's by the state. And finally, I can see a very nice placard over there saying mothers and children are the majority of casualties of war. Yes, that's true. And instead of campaigning for a war drive on Syria, I suggest the government do more to assist refugees, which they're currently not doing anything about. All those refugees currently stuck in Europe without shelter, without warmth, and without proper food and sanitation. This is what the government should be doing, and standing up to racism and not whipping up Islamophobia. Thank you very much.